Dear students, in the last class, we discussed continuous function. A real function f is said to be a continuous function if it is continuous at every point in its domain. See, here I have taken up some functions. The first one, f of x is x. I have taken identity function. See the graph. See the graph. Is there any breakage in the graph at any point? No. What is the domain of this function? Domain of this function is set of real numbers. Is there any point in the domain where there is a breakage or jump or hole in the graph? No. So clearly the identity function is a continuous function. Okay. Identity function is a continuous function, which we have already proved, right? Okay, next, second one. I have taken a constant function, f of x is 2. What is the domain of the constant function? Domain of the constant function is set of real numbers R, right? Now, is there any breakage or hole or jump in the graph of the function? No, there is no any breakage. So clearly, the constant function is a continuous function, right? Next, I have taken the function f of x square. I have taken a polynomial function of degree 2. Okay. So, what is the domain of this function? Domain of this function is also set of real numbers R. Clearly, there is no any breakage or jump or hole in the graph. So, this function f of x square is also a continuous function. Next, we shall move on to the fourth one, modulus function. We know that domain of modulus function is set of real numbers R. See the graph clearly, there is no any breakage or jump in the graph. So, modulus function is also a continuous function, right? Next, fifth one, I have taken the signum function. F of x is -1 if x is less than 0. F of x is 0 if x is equal to 0. F of x equal to 1 if x is strictly positive. See the graph. There is a jump at the point x is 0, right? So before that, what is the domain? Domain of the signum function is set of real numbers R, right? Now see, there is a jump in the graph at the point x is 0. So clearly, at this point, the function is not continuous. Hence, signum function is not continuous. It is not a continuous function. So this function f is not continuous, right? F is not continuous function. F is not a continuous function. Signum function is not a continuous function because there is one point in the domain where there is a jump in the graph, right? Next, I have taken up the greatest integer function. See the graph. We have already proved that the greatest integer function is not continuous at all integral points, right? It is very clear from the graph itself. Okay. So, what is the domain of the greatest integer function? Set of all real numbers R. So, there is a jump at every integral point. Say at x is 1 there is a jump, at x is 2 there is a jump, at x is -1 there is a jump, at x is -2 there is a jump. So clearly this function has infinitely many points of discontinuities. Therefore, the greatest integer function is not a continuous function. Is not a continuous function. Okay. It's very clear from the graph itself. Okay. Next, seventh one, f of x is sin x. Domain of this sine function is set of real numbers, right? There is no any breakage or hole in the graph. So clearly, sine function is a continuous function, right? So clearly, sine function is a continuous function. Of course, all the 6 trigonometric functions are continuous in their respective domains. Hence, they are all continuous functions. Okay. Next, eighth one, I have taken the rational function f of x is 1 by x. Okay. the function is not defined when x is equal to 0, so that's why I have excluded x equal to 0. So what is the domain of this function? Domain of this function is set of real numbers except 0. 0 is not in the domain of this function, right? See the graph. Is there any breakage or jump at any point in the domain of the function? Is there any jump in the graph at any point in the domain? No. There is no any jump in the graph at any point in the domain. See the domain of this rational function. Domain of this function is set of real numbers except 0. 0 is not in the domain of the function. Even though there is a jump at x is 0, but a point x is 0 is not in the domain. Means continuous at every point in its domain. Hence, this function is also a continuous function. Understood? This function is also a continuous function. Okay, next. Next we are going to discuss continuity of a function in an interval. Continuity of function in an interval. Let f be a real function. The function f is said to be, okay, I'll write a function f is said to be continuous, in the interval closed interval. I'll take closed interval a comma b if f is continuous at every point in the interval a comma b. Okay, a function f is said to be continuous in an interval a b if f is continuous at every point in the closed interval a comma b. See here, this is the graph of signum function, right? If I take the interval -1, 1, in this interval is the model is the signum function continuous? No, because at x is 0 signum function is not continuous. So in this interval f is not continuous, right? But if I take the interval 1, 2, see in the interval 1, 2, see here, is there any breakage in the graph? No. So clearly signum function is continuous on this interval or in this interval 1, 2. Understood? So a function f is said to be continuous in an interval if the function is continuous at every point in that interval. Similarly, I have taken up one more. I have taken the tan x function. What is the domain of tan x? Domain of the function tan x is set of real numbers except odd multiples of pi by 2. Odd multiples of pi by 2, right? Now see the graph. See the point -3 pi by 2 is not in the domain. Minus pi by 2 is not in the domain. 1 into pi by 2 is not in the domain. 3 into pi by 2 is not in the domain, right? And now, is it a continuous function? Yes, of course it is a continuous function because it is continuous at every point in its domain, right? Correct? These points are not in the domain, these points. Okay. Now, the question is the tan function continuous in the interval 0, pi? See the graph. In the interval 0, pi, in this interval, is a function continuous? It is not continuous. F is not continuous because in the interval we have pi by 2, right? In this interval, pi by 2 is in this interval. At this point, tan function is not continuous, right? Because Tan function is not defined at that point. So tan function is not continuous in the interval 0 comma pi, right? Suppose if I take interval, I will take open interval minus pi by 2 comma plus pi by 2. See the graph, minus pi by 2 plus pi by 2. See, there is no any breakage, so tan function is continuous at every point in this interval. So in this interval, tan function is continuous. Understood? So a function f is said to be continuous in an interval if the function is continuous at every point in that interval. Okay. So next. Now we are going to discuss composite function. Let us take a function like this, sine of x square. See, this is not an ordinary function. This is actually function of function. Function of a function is called composite function. Here there are two functions. One is sine function, other one is polynomial function x square. This actually is function of function. Such a function is called composite function. You are going to learn this in detail in the chapter relations functions. Okay. Let us take f of x as sin x. Okay. Here there are two functions. One is sin x, other one is x square, right? So I'll take f of x as sin x, g of x as x square. Okay. The composition of the functions f and g is denoted like this, f, g, o, f. The composition of the functions f and g is denoted by GOF, and which is defined as GOF of x is equal to G of f of x. Okay. The composition of the functions f and g is again a function which is denoted by GOF, and which is defined as GOF of x is G of f of x. So what is G of f of x? G of what is f of x? Sin x. Okay. So this is equal to g of x is x square. So what is g of sin x? Just replace x by sin x. Okay. Then g of sin x is sin x whole square. This function is actually composition of functions f and g. Understood? Next, we shall take up the composition of the functions g and f, and which is denoted by FOG. FOG is the composition of the functions g and f, which is defined by FOG of x is f of g of x. So f of what is g of x? G of x is x square. Next, what is f of x square? F of x square is, you just replace x by x square, sin of x square. So this is the function FOG of x. Okay, FOG of x is sin of x square, GOF of x is sin x whole square. These two are different functions, they are not equal. GOF is called composition of the functions f and g. FOG, this function is called composition of the functions g and f. Understood? So now we are going to discuss a theorem based on the composite function. Understood? Okay. Theorem number 2. In theorem number 1, we have learned that sum of two continuous functions is again a continuous function, difference of two continuous functions is a continuous function, product of two continuous functions is a continuous function, and quotient of two continuous functions is a continuous function, right? Now we are going to discuss theorem number 2. First, take down the statement of theorem number 2. Theorem number 2 is based on composite function. Okay. Suppose f and g are real functions. Suppose f and g are real functions. F and g are two real functions. Okay. Such that, suppose f and g are real functions such that FOG is nothing but composition of the functions g and f. FOG is nothing but composition of the functions G and F, such that FOG is defined at the point C. If G is continuous at C, if the function G is continuous at the point C and F is continuous at the point G of C, then FOG is nothing but composition of the functions G and F. Then FOG is continuous at the point C. So this is a statement of theorem number 2. Okay, so theorem number 2 states that it's very simple. If F and G are two continuous functions, then their composite function is also a continuous function. That's it. Composition of two continuous functions is again a continuous function. That's it. Okay. Proof is not in your syllabus. Now we shall move on to a problem. Problem number 16. Show that the function f defined by f of x is equal to modulus of cos x. Show that the function f defined by f of x equal to modulus of cos x is a continuous function. Show that the function f defined by f of x equal to modulus of cos x is a continuous function. Okay, so we have to show the given function is the composition of two continuous functions. Okay, so can you see there are two functions here? One is cos function, another one is modulus function, right? So I will take let g of x be cos x. Let g of x be cos x and h of x be mod x. We know that all the trigonometric functions are continuous functions, and also modulus function is continuous function, right? Clearly g and h, clearly these two functions, clearly g and h are continuous functions. To show that the given function f is also continuous, it is enough if we show that the given function is the composition of these two functions. That's it. Okay, now consider FOG of x. Now consider FOG of x. So by definition, FOG of x is f of g of x. I'm sorry, I should take sorry, here we have taken g and h, right? So I have to consider which one is that first? HOG of x. Okay, I have to consider HOG of x. So by definition of composite function, HOG of x is h of g of x. HOG of x is h of g of x, which is equal to h of, what is g of x? Cos x, right? G of x is cos x. H of x is mod x. So what is h of cos x? Just replace x by cos x, we get modulus of cos x. But this is nothing but f of x, right? Modulus of cos x is nothing but f of x. We have shown that given function f is composition of the function g and h, and further moreover both g and h are continuous functions, right? So the given function, we have shown that given function f is composition of two continuous functions. Therefore by theorem number 2, we can conclude that by theorem number 2, we can conclude that the given function f is a continuous function. Understood? So by theorem number 2, we can conclude that f is a continuous function. Okay. So there are similar problems in the textbook. I don't want to discuss anymore. I just leave them as homework to you. You just take down the homework problems. 17th, show that the function f defined by f of x is sine of x square. F of x is sine of x square is a continuous function. Okay, it's similar to the last problem. Similarly, show that the function f defined by f of x is equal to sine of mod x. Show that the function f defined by f of x equal to sine of mod x is a continuous function. Okay, so try to solve 17th and 18th. Next, I'll just give one more, 19th one. The question is, find all the points of discontinuity. Find all the points of discontinuity of the function f defined by f of x is equal to mod x minus modulus of x plus 1. You have to find all the points of discontinuity of the function f defined by f of x is mod x minus modulus of x plus 1. See, we have already known that modulus function is continuous, so mod x is continuous function. Similarly, modulus of x plus 1 is also a continuous function, right? Because this is also a modulus function. So difference of two continuous functions is again a continuous function by theorem number 1. In theorem number 1, we have learned that difference of two continuous functions is again a continuous function. Since mod x is continuous function, modulus of x plus 1 is also continuous function. Difference of two continuous functions is again a continuous function. So the answer is there is no point of discontinuity. Understood? So try to solve these three problems. With this, we have finished the concept continuity. In continuity, we'll have only one 4-mark question. So you have to concentrate more on the first 5 problems and problem number 13. They'll ask any one of these 6 problems in the final examination. Okay, understood? So with this, we have finished the concept continuity. Now we shall move on to the next concept, that is differentiability. Differentiability. So we have already learned derivative of a function at a point, right? We already learned that in first year. So derivative of a function at a point. Derivative of a function at a point. So we know that if f is any real valued function and c is any point in the domain of the function, then if the limit of the function f of c plus h minus f of c by h exists as h tends to 0. If this limit exists, then this limit is called derivative of the function f at the point C, and which is denoted like this, f dash of C, right? If this limit exists, then this is called derivative of the function f at the point C, and which is denoted like this, f dash of C. Okay. So now I'm going to rewrite this definition of derivative of function at a point. Okay. Now what happens if I take C plus h is equal to some variable x. See, here C is a constant, h is a variable. C is a constant, h is a variable, C plus h, sum of a constant and a variable is a variable. I have taken C plus h as x. Okay. So h becomes, if C plus h is x, and h becomes x minus C. Okay. Further, as h tends to 0, variable x tends to which number? As h tends to 0, variable x tends to C. Okay. Now we shall put these two in formula 1 or definition 1. What happens? If I put C plus h is x and h is x minus C, and if I replace h tends to 0 as x tends to C, what happens? Then we get f dash of C is equal to, limit of f of x minus f of C divided by h is nothing but x minus C, as h tends to 0 is same as x tends to C. Okay, this is another definition for derivative of a function at the point C. Okay, understood? Next, a function f is said to be differentiable. A function f is said to be differentiable, or it's also called derivable at the point C. The function f is said to be differentiable or derivable at the point C if f dash of C exists. Whenever this limit or this limit exists, then we say the function f is differentiable or derivable at the point C. Understood? So similarly here, when I say f dash of C exists, both left hand limit and right hand limit must exist and they are equal, right? So that is when I say f dash of C exists, what is the left hand limit of this? Limit of f of x minus f of C divided by x minus C as x tends to C minus, this is the left hand limit of this function, right? And right hand limit of f of x minus f of C by x minus C as x tends to C plus. These two exist and are equal. Okay, so a function f is said to be differentiable or derivable at a point C if f dash of C exists, or in other words, left hand limit as well as right hand limit of this function exist at the point C and are equal. And this left hand limit is called left hand derivative at the point C, and this limit of the function is called right hand derivative of the function at the point C. Okay, so write in the next line, these limits are called left hand derivative these limits are called left hand derivative at C and right hand derivative at C. Understood? See, this limit is called right hand derivative of the function at the point C, and this limit is called left hand derivative of the function at C, and this limit is called right hand derivative of the function f at C. Okay, so left hand derivative at C and right hand derivative at C respectively and are denoted by f dash of C minus and f dash of C plus respectively. Okay, respectively. F dash of C minus is nothing but left hand derivative of the function at the point C. F dash of C plus is nothing but right hand derivative of the function at the point C. Understood? So a function is derivable or differentiable at C if both left hand derivative and right hand derivative exist and they are equal. Okay, now we are going to discuss a problem, then you will understand it properly. Problem number 1. Problem number 1. Check whether the function f defined by check whether the function f defined by f of x is equal to x square plus 5 if x is less than or equal to 2, 4x plus 1 if x is greater than 2 is differentiable at the point x is 2. So that's the question. A function is given, a split function is given. We have to check whether the function f is differentiable or not at the point x is equal to 2. Okay, so for that, since this is a split function, we have to find left hand derivative as well as right hand derivative separately. If both exist and both are equal, then we say the function is differentiable at the point x is 2. Okay, so first we shall find left hand derivative. I'll just write it as f dash of 2 minus. Okay, so by definition, limit of f of x minus f of 2 divided by x minus 2 as x tends to 2 minus, right, which is equal to limit. What is f of x when x tends to 2 from the left side? When x tends to 2 from the left side, obviously x takes values which are less than 2. Whenever x takes values which are less than 2, what is f of x? X square plus 5, right? X square plus 5. Next, f of 2, value of the function when x is 2. What is f of 2? See, put f of 2 is whenever x is equal to 2, f of x is this, right? So f of 2 is 2 square plus 5. 4 plus 5 is 9. So put 9 here divided by x minus 2 as x tends to 2. Simplify and apply the limit. Limit x square plus 5 minus 9 is x square minus 4 divided by x minus 2 as x tends to 2. What happens if we apply the limit directly? It takes 0 by 0 form, right? So we had to factorize numerator. We can write x square minus 4 as x plus 2 into x minus 2. Simplify and apply the limit. We have cancelled out x minus 2 and x minus 2. Now apply the limit. 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. We got 4 as the left hand derivative of the function f at the point x is 2. Now we shall find right hand derivative of the function at the point x is 2. Okay, next Next, right hand derivative, f dash of 2 plus, by definition, limit of the function f of x minus f of 2 divided by x minus 2 as x tends to 2 plus, so which is equal to limit of see, when x tends to 2, obviously x takes values which are more than 2. Whenever x is more than 2, what is f of x? 4x plus 1, right? Whenever x is more than 2, f of x is 4x plus 1. So 4x plus 1 minus f of 2. We know that f of 2 is 9 divided by x minus 2 as x tends to 2. Now simplify. Numerator 4x plus 1 minus 9 is 4x minus 8 divided by x minus 2 as x tends to 2. You can take 4 common in the numerator. 4 into x minus 2 by x minus 2 as x tends to 2. You can cancel out x minus 2, x minus 2. Limit of constant 4 is 4 itself. So we got right hand derivative of the function at the point x is 2 is 4. Left hand derivative is also 4, right? Left hand derivative of the function at the point x is 2 is 4. Right hand derivative is also 4. So left hand derivative of the function is equal to right hand derivative of the function. So conclusion, therefore the given function is differentiable at x is equal to, what is that point? At x equal to 2. Understood? Since left hand derivative is equal to right hand derivative of the function at that point, we conclude that the given function is differentiable at x is equal to 2. Okay. See, whenever the given function is a split function, to find the derivative, we have to find both left hand derivative as well as right hand derivative. Okay. Next. So there is one similar problem. I just leave it as homework to you. Okay, I'll write that here itself. Problem number 2. I'll just write the function. You have to check whether the function f defined by f of x equal to x cube plus 2 if x is less than or equal to 1, 5x minus 2 if x is greater than 1. Okay, you have to check whether the function f defined by is differentiable at the point x is 1. Okay, so for that you have to find left hand derivative as well as right hand derivative. If both are equal, then we conclude that the function f is differentiable at x is 1. If they are not equal, then we say the function is not differentiable at that point. Okay, so in this case what happens, I'll just write the answer, you try to complete it. You will get f dash of 1 minus, that is left hand derivative of the function as 3 and right hand derivative of the function at x is 1 as 5. So you'll get left hand derivative as 3, right hand derivative as 5. These two are not equal. So you have to conclude that the given function is not differentiable at the point x is 1. Okay. So try to complete the problem. Next. Next, we are going to discuss a theorem. Theorem number 3. if a function f is differentiable, if a function f is differentiable at a point c, then if a function f is differentiable at a point c, then it is also continuous, and it is also continuous at that point. If a function f is differentiable at a point c, then the function f is also continuous at the point c. That means whenever a function is differentiable at a point, then obviously it is continuous at that point. Okay, we are going to prove it. Proof is very simple. So what is given here? The function f is differentiable. Okay, proof. What is given? F is differentiable. F is differentiable at the point C, right? So by definition of differentiability, f dash of c, what is that? Limit of f of x minus f of c by x minus c as x tends to c. This limit exists, right? Since f is differentiable at x is c, limit of this function as x tends to c exists, and we denote it by f dash of c. Now we have to prove that the function f is continuous at the point c using this. Okay, so for that, see here, can I write f of x minus f of c as f of x minus f of c by x minus c into x minus a for x is not equal to c. For x is not equal to c, can I write f of x minus f of c as f of x minus f of c by x minus c into x minus c? I have just multiplied and divided this by x minus c. Okay, now we shall apply limit on both sides. So apply limit on both sides as x tends to c. Apply limit on both sides. Limit of product of two functions is limit of first function to limit of second, right? So limit of first function f of x minus f of c by x minus c as x tends to c into limit of x minus c as x tends to c. Correct? But limit of this function is nothing but f dash of c, right? So f dash of c into limit of this polynomial function. Just put c is x is c. If you replace x is c, c minus c is 0. So right hand side becomes 0. In the left side, limit of first function, limit of f of x as x tends to c minus limit of f of c. F of c, see, c is a constant, so f of c is also a constant. So limit of a constant is constant, so f of c. Okay, so now shift this minus f of c to right side. Then we get limit of f of x as x tends to c. Shift minus f of c to right side, because in right side we have 0, right? So minus f of c becomes f of c. So that means the limiting value of the function is same as functional value of the function at the point c. So by definition of continuity of a function at a point, the function f is conclusion, f is continuous at the point c. So we have shown that whenever a function is differentiable at a point c, then the function is also continuous at that point, right? So differentiability implies continuity. Okay, so just make a note of it. Note number 1, differentiability Differentiability implies continuity. So whenever a function is differentiable at a particular point, then it is also continuous at that point. So whenever a function is differentiable, then it is also continuous. But what about the converse? Suppose a function is continuous at a point. Is it differentiable at that point? No. Just make a note of it. I'll give an example for that. Converse of the above theorem is not true. Converse of the above theorem is not true. What does it mean? If a function is continuous, then the function need not be differentiable. That is, I just write it as, that is, if a function is continuous, then the function, then it need not be differentiable. Okay, I'll give an example for this. Let us take the example of modulus function. Consider the modulus function. We have already shown that the modulus function is continuous at x is 0, right? Continuous at, of course, it is continuous function, so it is continuous at the point x is 0 also, right? We have already shown that modulus function is continuous at the point x equal to 0. Now let us see whether the function, modulus function, is differentiable or not at the point x is 0. First we shall find the left hand derivative. Okay, but before that we shall rewrite mod x as negative x if x is less than or equal to 0, x if x is more than 0, right? And now left hand derivative of the function, I'll just write it as f dash of 0 minus limit of the function f of x minus f of 0 by x minus 0 as x tends 0 on negative. What do we get? When x tends 0 from the left side, obviously x takes values which are less than 0. Whenever x is less than 0, what do we get? Negative x minus f of 0. When L of x is 0, we get 0 by x. So minus x by x minus 1. Limit of minus 1 is minus 1, right? Limit of negative 1 as x is 0 is negative 1 itself. So we got left hand derivative as negative 1. Next we shall find right hand derivative of dash of 0 plus by using the definition limit of f of x minus f of 0 by x minus 0 as x tends to 0 plus, which is equal to limit. When x tends 0 from the right side, obviously x takes values more than 0. Whenever x is more than 0, what is f of x? X. And what is f of 0? 0 by x minus 0 as x tends 0. X by x is 1. Limit of 1 as x tends 0 is 1. So we got left hand derivative as negative 1, right hand derivative positive 1. So they are not equal. So conclusion, f is not differentiable. F is not differentiable at x is 0. That means continuity does not imply differentiability. Okay, just make a note of it. Continuity doesn't imply continuity doesn't imply differentiability. So if a function is continuous at a point, then the function need not be differentiable. But if a function is differentiable, then obviously the function is continuous. Okay. So and just one more thing. See the graph of modulus function. This is a graph of model function, right? So this is y is equal to x, this is y is minus x. Just observe here, what is the slope of this line? Y is x plus 1, right? Y is mx plus 0, m means 1. Here, what is the slope of this line? Minus 1. Here slope is plus 1, here slope is negative 1. See, left hand derivative is negative 1, right hand derivative plus 1. I have already told you derivative of function at a point geometrically means slope of the tangent line. If I draw a tangent line to this curve, what do I get? I'll get the tangent will be on this line only, right? I'm sorry. See here, just see here at the point 0, can we draw a unit tangent? No, we cannot draw a unit tangent here. We cannot draw a unit tangent since this point has a sharp edge. We cannot draw only one tangent. We cannot draw a unit tangent. So the modular function is not differentiable. Understood? So modular function is not differentiable. Okay, that's all for today. We shall continue the next class. Thank you. End class for all.